This is William K. Murtaugh, Witness 1, and today I would like to talk about images. Now, recently Tim Holmseth did a article on court watchers, and in that article he accused someone of nefarious, I suppose, motives in publishing a picture of three children in a dog cage with the dog staring at the camera person. And I don't know what kind of point he was trying to prove or infer, other than apparently the person in question supported having kids in cages with a dog staring at the cameraman. Now, the reason that Tim Holmseth did this, of course, is because the person got to the point where they don't agree with what Tim Holmseth is doing in regards to this Pentagon pedophile task force that does not exist. And so this person became rather vocal about it. Tim Holmseth accused the person of betraying him, and so on and so forth. And so this picture of the dog in the cage came up. And what's interesting is that it turns out that this is what's known as a meme. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It's M-E-M-E. And basically what it is people will publish these things on the internet. And the pictures, videos come from all over the world. This one in particular came from Russia. It's been circulating around, I would say, for about, at a minimum, a year. The earliest I can go back so far, because I ran out of time, is in August of last year. There's one of August this year, and there's one of August last year. So I would say the earliest that I've been able to find this picture is August of 2018. And the caption in some of these pictures are in a foreign language. The individual that's being criticized by Holmseth was published in English. Strangely enough, I haven't been able to find it, but apparently it was published in English somewhere, and the translation is roughly correct between all the. If you run the verbiage to translate, it's pretty close to what the English version is. So, hundreds of thousands of people are posting this particular image. Now, I don't know how many out there on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or elsewhere post this kind of material, but it is common. People post all kinds of things and they don't think twice about it. It's just a joke. The premise behind it is what the English version says, that a guy wanted to bring the kids over, but there was a concern about the dogs, so the joke was lock them up. And then you have the kids in the cage and the dog sitting there, when it was just the opposite. I mean, it's a joke. But Timothy Holmseth apparently can't take a joke. Now, I've had this happen to me before. I've had it happen twice. And I think people criticize simply because they want to get under your skin and criticize. There is a video going around, it still goes around, and it's out of Australia, I believe. But it's two kangaroos fighting each other. in a neighborhood. And when I published it, shared it actually, the woman got all bent out of shape and accused me of supporting animal cruelty. And the problem is, number one, kangaroos do this. It's usually two males will get into a boxing match with each other. They do it as a territorial thing. They don't hurt each other. They just sit there and, it kind of looks like a patty cake thing when you watch it. So they sit there and they bat each other around a little bit, and then they quit and go their separate ways. And second, you're not going to stop the kangaroos from fighting each other. If you try and intervene, they're going to attack you because it's a territorial thing. Now, I'm reminded of Mutual of Omaha had the Wild Kingdom, and one of the introductions to Wild Kingdom were two male rams headbutting each other, and it made a horrific noise. Nobody accused Mutual of Omaha of some nefarious reason for posting that picture. Maybe it was back in the times when people weren't so damn politically correct or whatever, that nobody thought it was a big deal to be posting a picture of two rams butting heads. But on Wild Kingdom, they showed nature being nature, and there was a lot of violence in the animal kingdom. There is. And nobody raised hell about it. Nobody accused people of being cruel to animals or anything else. I mean, it's just true life. And it's the same with this meme this guy published. I mean, it's a picture. He didn't take the picture. He wasn't responsible for putting the cages in there. It was a joke. Now, what I also find interesting about the cage picture is that we live in a politically charged era right now. And one of the things that has been in the forefront of the news is kids in cages. And this is largely due to the undocumented refugee problem that we're having at the southern border of the United States. And ICE and the Border Patrol are putting these kids literally in cages. I mean, they basically make a fenced-in room, and kids and adults are both thrown in these cages. Or the kids are sent to private institutions that are contracted to the federal government to house these children, and pictures have been taken of the children behind chain link fence. And so you have this kids in cage thing. Now, Timothy Holmset doesn't comment about that, because that would be criticizing President Trump. And Timothy Holmset doesn't want to do anything to criticize President Trump. To Timothy Holmset and the megas, Donald J. Trump can do no wrong. Donald J. Trump cannot make any mistakes. And so we have this one-sided debate. Now, this little stunt by Tim actually backfired, because people began to understand that this was a meme. You can go on Google search, and if you know how to do it, you can find the picture in a place other than Tim Holmset. I did a reverse image search on this particular photograph, and I was flooded with different websites that have this particular photograph on it. It's in Pinterest, which is a place where people post all these pictures. You type in a category, and you get flooded with pictures in that category. And I did a search the one thing I did that was kind of surprising, on Google I did a search and I just did kids in dog cages. And I got flooded with thousands of different pictures of memes where kids were put into cages. And there were adults that were put in dog cages. And it was just, there were tons of them. I should have said in the beginning that I was specific and said kids in dog cages. You know, try a Google search and see what you come up with. You type in kids in dog cages and go to images, and you're going to get flooded with kids in dog cages. And there's going to be adults in dog cages and all kinds of stuff. You know, people create this stuff. They take and they put a kid or two or three in the case of the picture in a dog cage, and they take a picture. Now, I don't particularly agree with it. I think it's abusing children, but the children don't seem to mind too much. There's no distress there. And, you know, I don't know if there's a Russian version of CPS that'll go banging on somebody's door who creates this stuff. Now, as I said, Tim Homseth has done this before. And he was more blatant about it. But people didn't catch him because they didn't know that this is what Tim Homseth does. Tim Homseth found an image of a baby in food. There's some places on the internet where it's called Taco Baby. The only problem is if you type in Taco Baby on Google, you get kids and tacos. You don't get the exact image. It takes a little bit of work to find these images. But I found the original image. And the image was created by a woman out of Russia. I believe her name is Mitska or something like that. And she's very well known and very popular in Russia and in some of the former Soviet Union countries for books that she publishes that have rather odd pictures in them. And one of the books she did, called Vegetable Babies, is where babies are put in different settings as the main course for dinner. You know, which seems to be the butt of whatever kind of sick joke this woman's trying to come across. I think it's rather weird. But Russians do weird things. And taking pictures of babies on a food plate is one of the weird things they do. Now, this does not mean that Russians go around eating babies or drinking their blood. It means that Russians have weird tastes in whatever it is they do, and they don't seem to mind putting children in these pictures in this manner. But, you know, I find what's interesting about this is because of people like Timothy Homseth and the woman that went after me with the fighting kangaroos, I guess you have to be just a little bit more selective when you hit the share button on social media. Because it's going to come back to bite you, because these idiots are always looking for something to pin on you. To take something that somebody else did out of humor, or showing real life in some cases, and giving you some perverted motive for sharing that image. It's kind of sad in a way that we have to be so politically correct in this world because of people like Timothy Homseth. And I find this rather surprising in another way, too. Now, conservatives, alt-rights, and people on the Republican side of the equation have always accused liberals and Democrats of being politically correct. But now, when you get these three examples that I put out there, who were posted by people of the either conservative or right-wing persuasion, they're being correct, politically correct. And it's kind of hypocritical, because if you're not going to be politically correct, then it shouldn't matter who puts up material, and it should be understood that it's a meme, and it's a joke, and it's material created by somebody else in a non-serious situation. But then that would take away from the narrative of these people. Tim Homseth made the false premise that people are eating babies and used this picture as an example. When he made the article, he accused the person who took the picture of this child of eating it. This is where the eating babies came from, was this one picture. And this is a glaring example of what Tim Homseth does. He takes images out of context and fits them to his narrative. It's a kind of a lie. It's misrepresenting what is being presented. It is misrepresenting the truth. Because what you see is not what you get. It's Tim being the liar. It is Tim practicing yellow journalism. It's Tim Homseth practicing garbage journalism. He's been doing this for as long as he's been publishing on the internet. And more people are beginning to realize that. And so with that, this is William K. Murtaugh, Mert Witness 1. Have a good one. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.